This is such an interesting story. The National Archives releasing some, though not all, of the long secret files relating to the 1963 assassination of President JFK. President Trump blocked the release of nearly 300 records on the urging of the CIA and the FBI. Those files are going to be under review for another 6 months. Those that were released described how federal agents madly chased after tips, after rumors and leads worldwide. But the fact that some were held back, well, you know, it's fueling a whole lot more speculation. And by the way, they were held back because of national security concerns. What does that mean? Presidential historian Doug Weed is back with me. And Doug, you know, one of the interesting things in all of this is that we have learned that Oswald went to Mexico City for a meeting at the Soviet embassy shortly before this all transpired. Does that lead you in any direction towards maybe the Soviets perhaps and the Cubans combined had a hand in this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was my thought.
All of the conspiracy theories, all of them are alive, and there's a bunch more after we've seen these documents. It's truly stunning.
But, I mean, is there anyone that sticks out more so than others, given what we know thus far?
Here's what sticks out to me, Trish, and that's the questions that the American people were asking, that the taxi cab driver, that the beautician were asking. They were the right questions, and the elite media and the government tried to make us feel like we're idiots and conspiracy theorists, but they themselves are asking this question. Richard Helms, the director of the CIA, sends out a memo that's in these documents and says, was he one of ours? Meaning Oswald. Was he a CIA agent? So this isn't some blogger from Tulsa. This is the director of the CIA asking that question. And then there's LBJ. LBJ's quoted in here as saying the reason John F. Kennedy was assassinated was because he himself assassinated Ngo Dinh Diem, the president of our ally, president of South Vietnam, who was a fellow Catholic. I mean, this, again, is the president of the United States making this allegation in these documents. No wonder they wanted to keep them hidden.
So what is your suspicion? Do you question all of this as well? I mean, do you think that there is more to this story than was ever presented to the public?
Oh, obviously so here, because the principals themselves thought that. Johnson thought that. Helms thought that. We've got to apologize to all the conspiracy theorists. They may not have the right conclusions. We don't know those conclusions. And maybe that's the lone gunman, as many say. But they certainly had the right questions. And the questions they were asking should have been asked, and no one should have been shamed from talking about it.
You know, Doug, I guess now the concern is national security, right? And I understand that, by the way. I kept saying, well, the president surely must know what's in these documents before they get released, because I would think that you run the risk of anyone maybe being named that was a spy for us, possibly still being alive and being put into jeopardy. And also, he's citing national security concerns, which makes me wonder, if it was another country involved in this assassination, do we run the risk of flaring up a scenario? And perhaps is that the reason why they want to be more careful? I don't fault them, by the way, for wanting to be more careful, because it is all sensitive stuff. And you don't want to find yourself in a situation where we're going to some kind of World War III over something that was done that many years ago, Doug.
I don't think that's the problem. I think it's political and it's personal. Trish, when I wrote the book, All the President's Children, I had the Warren G. Harding family lobbying me not to include the story of his illegitimate daughter, which is now proven by DNA. But that tells you the pressure that was on. And one of the revealing moments in these documents that I read last night is when J. Edgar Hoover tips off Bobby Kennedy and says there's a book coming out next year about you and Marilyn Monroe. Giving the Kennedys time to issue other books to dilute that book and to get their answers ready. That tells me why these docs are really hidden from the public. There are people who will be embarrassed by them.
Doug, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Trish. All right.